All right, so today we're diving deep, really deep, into the MSI GeForce RTX 5070 Ti 16G Shadow 3XOC graphics card.
Quite a mouthful.
Yeah, it is, huh? But, our listeners, always hungry for the latest and greatest tech.
Absolutely. And they want to get up to speed fast.
Exactly, no time to waste, right? So consider this deep dive your express lane to understanding this high-end GPU.
Definitely high end.
So we've got a really in-depth review here that we're going to pull apart.
Yeah, a fantastic resource packed with info.
And our mission, if you will, is to extract the most important insights.
The nuggets of gold, so to speak.
Exactly. So we'll be looking at performance, obviously, but also the design, how it's built, and any features that really stand out.
You know, the things that set it apart in a very crowded market.
Because let's be real, the GPU world is a battleground, right?
Oh, absolutely. A constant race to the top.
And MSI, with this card, is clearly aiming for that premium segment.
Gamers, content creators, anyone who demands serious graphical power.
Yeah, those who want to push the limits of resolution and frame rates.
And probably want their rig to look pretty sharp, too.
For sure. So let's start with the aesthetics, the looks. What did the review say?
Well, it seems MSI is sticking with their kind of, their minimalist but aggressive design.
Minimalist, aggressive, interesting combo.
Right. So picture this. Matte black shroud, very sleek, very clean.
Understated, sophisticated.
Yeah, and then some angular gray trim just to add a bit of, edge.
So not over the top, flashy.
No, not at all. But there is a touch of RGB, a subtle strip along the top.
Ah, gotta have that RGB.
Just a hint of personalization, not too distracting.
So it'll fit into a variety of builds, aesthetically speaking.
Yeah, definitely versatile in that sense.
Now, one thing the review emphasized was the size. This is not a small card.
Not at all. It's a bit of a beast. 2.9 slots thick and over 330 millimeters long.
Wow, 336 millimeters to be exact.
So yeah, gotta make sure your case has the room.
That's a crucial point. You don't want to buy it and then it doesn't fit.
Exactly. Measure twice, buy once, as they say.
Wise words. So size is one thing, but what about build quality? Does it feel premium?
Oh, absolutely. The review was very clear about that. Top-notch construction.
What contributes to that?
Well, for one, the aluminum backplate, that's a nice touch.
More than just looks then.
Right. It adds rigidity, prevents any bending or flexing.
Makes it feel solid.
Yeah. And it also helps with heat dissipation, so it's functional too.
Nice. So it's built like a tank. And speaking of heat, let's talk about cooling.
Ah, yes. The cooling, that's where this card really shines, according to the review.
It went all out, huh?
It seems, so they've got this triple fan setup using MSI's TRX 5.0 design.
Okay, TRX 5.0, break that down for us.
Well, the interesting thing is the fans are paired and they rotate together.
So synchronized spinning.
Exactly, and this creates a more focused, more powerful airflow.
Directed right at the heatsink, I'm guessing?
You got it straight onto those fins to draw the heat away.
And overall, the design, while not revolutionary, seems very effective.
Yeah, the reviewer was pretty impressed with the cooling capabilities.
But how impressive? I mean, what kind of temps are we talking about?
Well, they ran Cyberpunk 2077, notoriously demanding game.
Oh, yeah. Really pushes the hardware.
At 4K resolution, ultra settings, the whole 9 yards.
That's a stress test for sure.
And the card peaked at only 64 degrees Celsius.
That's pretty darn cool.
It is, especially compared to the Founders Edition, which was 10 degrees hotter.
10 degrees, that's a big difference.
Yeah, shows you how well the cooling system works.
But all those fans, gotta be some noise, right?
Yeah, the review mentioned that there is some noise under load.
How bad is it?
They described it as a tolerable hum, not a high-pitched whine.
So noticeable, but not obnoxious.
Exactly, and when you're not gaming, basically silent.
Ah, because of the fan stop feature.
Right, fans turn off completely below 50 degrees.
It's a nice touch. Silent when you're just browsing or working.
And compared to other high-end cards, how did it fare?
Yeah, they compared it to Asus ROG Strix and Gigabyte ARRs, right?
They did, and in terms of peak temps, it was very competitive.
But there was one area where it stood out, right?
Yeah, it seemed to maintain those cool temps for longer periods.
So consistency under sustained load.
Exactly, which is crucial for long gaming sessions.
Keeps those frame rates stable.
No throttling, no performance dips.
All right, so it looks good, it's built well, and it stays cool, but how does it game?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Right, because specs are one thing, but real-world performance is key.
Absolutely, and this card boasts 16 gigabytes of GDDR6X VRAM.
16 gigabytes, that's a lot of memory.
It is, and it's becoming more and more important as games get bigger.
And they tested the boost clock, right?
They did, up to 2.7 gigahertz they saw, which is impressive.
So 1440p gaming, how did it handle that?
Like a dream, According to the review, Hogwarts Legacy, Alan Wake 2, all smooth as butter.
Frame rates.
Well above 60 FPS, often hitting over 100.
Wow, that's what you want. Silky smooth gameplay.
Yeah, no stuttering, no lag.
And the big one, 4K. How'd it do there?
This is where it really flexed its muscles. Forza Horizon 5 maxed out 110 FPS.
That's incredible. And what about something really demanding, like The Witcher 3?
They tested the next-gen update with ray tracing on, averaged 85 FPS.
That's impressive. 4K with ray tracing, not many cards can do that.
It's a testament to the raw power of this GPU.
And speaking of ray tracing, got to talk about DLSS. That's NVIDIA's secret sauce.
Yeah, DLSS 3.5 specifically, with frame generation, it's a game changer.
Frame generation, explain that in simple terms.
It's not just upscaling, it's actually creating entirely new frames.
So boosting the frame rate artificially, but in a good way.
Right. It analyzes the existing frames and uses AI to predict the next ones.
And this results in,
A huge performance increase, especially at higher resolutions.
like with Cyberpunk 2077, they mentioned that, right?
Yeah, overdrive mode, 4K, they got 80 FPS thanks to DLSS.
That's crazy. That mode is usually a slideshow without DLSS.
Pretty much. So yeah, DLSS is a big deal, and this card handles it beautifully.
So where would you say this card sits in the hierarchy of GPUs?
Well, it's definitely high-end, but not quite flagship level.
Not an RTX 4080 competitor, then.
No, not quite, but it's significantly better than the RTX 4070 Ti.
How much better?
15 to 20% faster, especially with ray tracing.
Okay, so a solid step up, but not the absolute top of the line.
Right, which makes sense given the price point.
Now, enough about gaming. What about content creation? Can this card handle that?
Oh, absolutely. The 16 GB of VRAM is a huge boon for creators.
They specifically mentioned Blender and DaVinci Resolve, right?
Yeah, they did. Complex 3D scenes, 8K video editing, no problem.
The extra memory really helps there.
Yeah, prevents those annoying slowdowns when you're working with large files.
And NVIDIA has those studio drivers, right?
Yeah, they're optimized for creative applications, stability, and performance.
So they tested those with this card.
They did, and it seems like they make a difference. Smoother workflows.
Even with demanding tasks, like live streaming while editing.
Right, the card can handle it all without breaking a sweat.
And what about the competition? How does it compare to AMD's offerings?
Well, for pure rasterization, AMD might have a slight edge in some cases.
But there's a catch, right?
Yeah, when it comes to AI-powered tasks, NVIDIA pulls ahead.
Like with those Topaz Labs tools, they mentioned that.
Yeah, image and video enhancement. NVIDIA's AI is just faster.
So it depends on your workflow, what kind of content you're creating.
Exactly. Gotta choose the right tool for the job.
Okay, hardware is one thing, but software can make or break the experience.
True. So let's talk about MSI's software. They have that Dragon Center, right?
Yeah, the review had some thoughts on that.
Seems like a mixed bag. The interface is good, user-friendly.
But there was one area where they weren't impressed.
The automatic overclocking, very conservative, not much of a boost.
Just gotta do it manually if you want to push the card further.
Exactly. But the manual overclocking went well. They got it to 2.8 gigahertz stable.
Not bad. So there's headroom for those who like to tinker.
You can squeeze out some extra performance if you know what you're doing.
And of course, we can't forget NVIDIA's own software features.
Right. They have a whole ecosystem these days. DLSS, Reflex, Broadcast.
All designed to enhance the gaming and creative experience.
Yeah, and they all work seamlessly with this card.
DLSS we talked about. What about Reflex and Broadcast?
Reflex reduces system latency, great for competitive gamers.
So faster response times, smoother gameplay.
And Broadcast, that's more for streamers, AI-powered noise cancellation, virtual backgrounds, that kind of thing.
And they specifically mentioned AV1 encoding support, right?
Yes, big deal for content creators, smaller file sizes without quality loss.
So better looking streams, less bandwidth used.
Exactly, a win-win situation.
All right, before we wrap up, let's talk power, connections, all that practical stuff.
Right, so this card uses the new 16-pin 12VH PWR connector.
That's becoming the standard for high-end cards now.
It is, but thankfully MSI includes an adapter for older power supplies.
Good thinking, so you don't have to upgrade your PSU immediately.
Exactly, makes it more compatible with existing systems.
And the power draw, is this a power-hungry beast?
Surprisingly not, actually more efficient than the previous generation.
How so?
Well, under load, they measured around 320 watts.
That's less than the RTX 4070 Ti.
By about 20 watts, yeah, thanks to TSMC's 4mm process.
More performance per watt, that's always good.
Absolutely, saves you money on electricity, too.
So what kind of PSU would you recommend for this card?
They recommend at least 750 watts, and a good quality one at that.
Don't skimp on the power supply.
No, it's the heart of your system. Got to be reliable.
And idle power consumption was low, right?
Yeah, only 15 watts when you're not pushing it.
All right, so to sum up, what are the major pros and cons of this card?
Pros, the cooling is exceptional, keeps it running cool and quiet.
And that leads to consistent performance. Right?
Exactly. No throttling, no dips in frame rate.
The 16 GB of VRAM is also a big plus, future-proofing for sure.
And the ray tracing performance is excellent, especially with DLSS 3.5.
They also like the design, sleek and understated.
With just a touch of RGB for personalization.
The cons.
Well, the fan noise underload, while tolerable, is noticeable.
And the size? It's a big card, might not fit in every case.
And of course, the price. It's a premium card, no doubt about it.
So who's this card for, in your opinion?
I'd say it's perfect for enthusiasts who want high-end performance, but maybe aren't ready to splurge on the RTX 4080.
4K gamers, streamers, content creators, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Anyone who needs that extra VRAM and wants top-notch cooling.
And the price, they mentioned that, right?
Yeah, $849. Not cheap, but a good value for what you're getting.
And the overall score.
9 out of 10, a very strong recommendation from the review.
So there you have it, folks. The MSI GeForce RTX 5070 Ti 16G Shadow 3X SoC.
A mouthful to say, but a beast of a card.
Powerful, efficient, well-built, and cool running.
Just be mindful of the size and the potential for fan noise.
But overall, a top-tier choice for those who demand the best.
This deep dive has got me thinking, as games and software become more and more demanding, what do you think will be the key factors driving our GPU choices in the future?
That's a great question. Will it be raw power, efficient cooling, or something else entirely?
Maybe new technologies we haven't even thought of yet.
It's an exciting time to be a PC enthusiast, that's for sure.
Definitely. Lots to look forward to.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and be sure to tune in next time for another in-depth look at the latest tech.
Until then, happy gaming and creating, everyone.
See you next time.